Hello friends, welcome back to my channel if you've seen my last video, and if you haven't and this is your first time, hi, I'm Sarah, lovely to meet you. So essentially, since going through my own spiritual awakening, I've begun channeling information from my highest self or connection to source, or whatever way you kind of like to describe it. There always tends to almost be like an infinite amount of ways you can use terminology for these things. But yeah, so I don't claim to be like a professional or expert or anything in these topics. I just kind of take the information that's coming through to me and then just kind of formatting it into these videos to share with you guys. Yeah, so please always just use your own discernment, take what resonates and fits for you, because it's really like always about forging and following your own path, right? So yeah. Today I wanted to talk about the meaning of love and light, like the meaning behind love and light. It's a terminology like that I like to use a lot, and I feel like a lot of people in the spiritual community like to use it. And then I also feel like there's a lot of people that feel a bit funny about it too, just thinking, you know, what is this airy fairy love and light? So I just feel like when you actually look into and like break down or at least my interpretation of the full meaning and purpose behind it, it actually can become quite complex a little bit and quite powerful too. And so again, I don't claim that this is like a factual explanation of the term love and light and that this is the way that everyone's using it and meaning it. But this is my interpretation of it, and yeah. And I guess I'd like to also just say as well, like the more that I share this information and, you know, integrate it and formatting it into this way to share with you guys, and even just like as I'm speaking it now, I feel like helps me as well with my own process of like integrating it more into my brain and almost going from like a novice of this knowledge and slowly being able to like master it more and more. So I also just really want to say thank you for even like being here and watching this with me, because without you, like I wouldn't have the opportunity to do this, and it also really helps my journey as well. So I really appreciate it, and I love how we get to all do this together on these sort of spiritual journeys. You know, it's like all the information and stuff that like I've seen and witnessed from other people, you know, that helps me go along, and then things I take on, you know, you share down and that helps people go along, and it's like we're all just kind of contributing, sharing, helping ourselves, helping each other, and it just lifts us all up, and it's lovely. So yeah, thank you. Okay, so to break it down, I guess I'd firstly like to say that with love and light, I feel like it's really the fundamental basis of it is like working with energy, and like your own energy. And so I'd like to kind of break it down into just the two sections to start with, like love and light, and then I'll go into like a quick little merging of the both together at the end. So for love, the part of love, you know, I feel like the main points I want to touch on there is like I feel the first main part of like, you know, the sending of love out with the love and light is to just kind of remind and highlight how we already are whole and complete. Like we already are that love, you know, so it's just about remembering and believing that in ourselves, in order to fully like feel that within us again, you know. So yeah, and then I then feel from that is like that's then the power of, you know, loving each other and loving ourselves then helps give us like that inner light love power. It like fuels us up more, you know, like fuels us up more with more of that loving energy that we can then use and implement in our own life and other lives to make those better too. So it's just like this circuitry of love that just keeps fueling and expanding, and I feel like it's just bringing awareness to the power and beauty of that, you know. And then I also just want to point on, I feel like the power of love and the moments of love we have throughout our life. And I feel so often it's so easy for us when we get those little moments of love to just really attach to them and feel like, oh no, that's like such precious moments in my life or precious things in my life. And you almost, you're waiting in anticipation for when they come around again, or you like cling on to them, or maybe you've lost them, and then, it can bring down so many other aspects of your life when you don't have that love in your life, that it could maybe cloud or bring down those aspects, that then we're like, falling into all these to and fro's and feeling like, why can't I just have like love around me all the time? And, and I guess I feel like the purpose and the point of the way we're kind of going through these linear 3D type aspect lives at the moment, where things come in and out of our lives and we grow and we're going on these journeys. And I feel like the moments of love, the people, the things we experience, and it really just light up our heart. It's not about it showing us these are the things that we need to go out and grab and find and have in our life, but rather it's showing and highlighting you the love that already exists within. Because it's not actually, it's not that object or person in your outside view is giving you that love in your heart. Like, it's almost like triggering the love that already exists in your heart, like reminding you, like you see that and then your heart's like, oh yes, that's right, that's that part of me that exists. Because within your heart, right, well, not like technically literally, but when we talk about our infinite souls and our infinite soul energy, and as I spoke in my last video, if you've seen it, how we're all like a fractal of source energy kind of swirled up into a unique pattern. And then when you think of that, then you've still got an aspect of every infinite aspect of source energy within you somewhere. So you could think of that like being in your heart. So then when you see something you really love and it's like, oh, it's like reminding you of the place within your infinite source energy that already exists. So now when that thing comes and goes, you don't need that thing necessarily to be in front of you to feel that place in your heart, because it already exists. So you just have to remember where it exists in your heart, and you can almost take yourself back to it. And I feel like the more you kind of practice the ability of, sitting with yourself and thinking of things you love and the way it makes you feel, and kind of finding that place in your heart without it actually being around in your surroundings, it's almost getting stronger at that ability to kind of tap into the kingdom within, that you can then get better at being able to visit at any time, to be able to fuel yourself up with those things and feelings that you do enjoy and love so much, because they really are always already with you. And I feel like the stronger and better you get at that as well is also just the way and ability you're able to connect better to your intuition, and maybe even connecting to just feeling more presence from people who you love, who have passed on, because you still are connected to them through your heart. So the better you get at visiting that kingdom within, the better you may get at noticing the presence of when they may be visiting you, or things like that, So yeah, very exciting, very cool. All right, so moving on to light. So I would like to note as well, I do tend to use like positive, negative terminology. And as we know, like nothing's good or bad or better than the other. Like, it's not exactly positive or negative, but I just find that easier terminology for myself to use. But you can use like light, dark, higher frequency, lower frequency. But yeah, I just wanted to disclaim that, just so it's not such a positive, negative, but yeah. So the light. So I feel like the purpose of the light is to illuminate the darkness and like the gaps in our own like light energy, and I feel like that's the purpose of like sending the light out, like illuminating. And so, because I feel a great way to kind of think about it is, we have like our light energy aura, and if we have gaps in that energy aura, say gaps created through things like insecurities, doubts, fears, Imagine if that's almost creating like a little hole or dent in your light aura when you have an insecurity or a doubt or a fear about something. And then that allows negative energy that's like just around surrounding our light auras to then seep into that gap and like fill it up. And then that might be why you then, you know, experience certain experiences, like based on that energy coming into your aura, creating like more negative experiences for you based on that energy that's came into that particular gap. But anyway, we can talk more about that later. This is more just a summary. So I feel then the purpose of the light then illuminating those gaps that we have, we can then use the light and love that we have within us to then fill those gaps up and push that negative energy back up, because we can see, oh, I see this moment is stinging me and causing me a bit of discomfort because I have an insecurity about this thing and it's just causing a little trigger, you know, on my heartstring. Okay, well, I can sit with myself and, you know, reassure myself out of that insecurity and give myself some positive love and self-talk and realize how I don't actually need to feel insecure about those things. You know, that was a incorrect story that I'd picked up from things that just happened in my life, you know, and I can just use love and light to just push that back up. Like, use the light to realize and remind yourself, like, aha, I illuminate that the reason I'm feeling this way must be because of an internal turmoil. Use the light to, you know, recognize and assess it, and then using your inner love and light to fill it back up. And I kind of feel that's the process of the light, right? And the love too, kind of. And I also feel like it's important too, when we're, you know, talking an aspect of using the light and stuff like that, and empowering ourselves, to really just think about the terminology and the way you're using your words and stuff when you are thinking about things like, you know, say negative energy or negative thoughts, or say like negative entities or demons. Like I'm not going into saying anything like those sort of things don't exist or anything like that, but I guess more what I'm trying to get to is like the narrative you're telling yourself and how that affects you. Like, for example, if you're having like a lot of, say, bad negative thoughts, and then you're telling yourself, oh, it's just like I must have these dark demons attached to me, like harming me, then that could create even more negative energy of fear and stuff around you that then does cause a more denser experience for you. Whereas if you could still use that sort of terminology, but if you're using it in an empowered way where you're not making it seem like you have things attacking you, like you're weak and they're stronger than you, and instead kind of, you know, I feel like it's easier if you use terminology that's instead going to empower yourself. And especially I feel like it's easier if you're not seeing it as something that is attacking you, and instead just see it as, like we were saying before, using the light to illuminate your own gaps or things like that. If you just instead see it as just an unfortunate happenstance of, you know, either your own negative thoughts or insecurities, fears, doubts, or someone else's own, you know, lower frequency thoughts and vibrations, but that then manifesting into some sort of experience that's then not causing you the greatest time. I feel if then you just view it as it is literally just kind of just negative energy, negative thoughts, like a bit of dust on your skin or something, you know, like a bit of dirt or dust that's just, you know, collecting from going around in the air. It's just collecting and settling on you, rather than seeing it as something that's alive and going to attack you. Because then you can say, oh, just a bit of dust, a bit of negative energy, we'll brush that off. Rather than being like, oh my God, it's a demon attacking me, like it's gonna hurt and burn my skin, and it might not even do that, but then you are so powerful. If you start believing that, you might then start feeling and experiencing that, like, who knows, you know? So I feel like it's really helpful to really be mindful of the terminology and stuff you use when you are doing this healing work for yourself, that you're not giving your power away to these negative thoughts or emotions, and instead just kind of see it more, like I said, I like the idea of like, you know, you've just, you know, gone for a walk out in nature and you're covered in a bit of dirt and dust, and it's just like, oh, go have a shower, dust it off, like, that's okay, you recognize now, and just woof, 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 you're good, you know, like, yeah. So to end, I guess I'd like to just summarize with the whole process together of love and light. So like we've mentioned, I feel like, you know, light illuminates the darkness, and then love allows us to see kind of why the darkness exists from a comforting place of having that love surrounding us. You know, kind of take the edge off. And then that helps us to then feel more empowered to be elevating ourselves out of that place of darkness that we feel we found ourselves in. You know, after we've illuminated the darkness, we can see it, and then we've filled ourselves with love, so we're not feeling too overwhelmed by it, and then we can kind of like shoot ourselves out of it. I feel like a great way to kind of expand on that. So yeah, so as we said, you know, as those gaps fill with negative energy, it's kind of just like realizing that's what's happening, and then transmuting those negative energies and filling the gaps you now recognize with the love and light you've found within yourself, you know, and just like pushing it out. And I feel like just like a great way to kind of explain that process is how often we just kind of feel like we get caught in like these like energy loops or karmic loops or whatever kind of loop you find yourself in, where it's like just so often you keep having these same sort of experiences or feelings that just keep seeming to try to like set you back in these similar loop patterns. And then if we're able to use this process of the love and light and, you know, recognizing and filling those gaps and transmuting it out, it's kind of like, oh, and that kind of like frees us from that loop that we can go, oh, and like off into, you know, maybe we end up getting caught into a new loop, but at least it's a new one over here, and we can loop over here and loop, who knows, or maybe we just keep shooting because we've got it. But I feel like that's kind of the process, right? You kind of recognize, oh, I'm getting caught in a loop here, and you recognize what's coming in, what are the repeating patterns, what are your inner turmoils, insecurities that may be helping contribute, allowing these circumstances to even come in and affect you in the first place, filling those gaps up in your own aura with, you know, love and light, and empowering yourself, so then those sort of experiences and energies kind of dissipate from your own aura and reality, because they just no longer have gaps to fill in or relevant energy to link and transmute with, you know? So yeah, if you have any questions or comments or anything in relation to the stuff we've talked about today that you just want to follow up on a bit more, like, please don't hesitate to reach out and let me know. Yeah, and I'd love if you could like the video, just to let me know if you are interested in this and still want me to do it, as I said, because I do really enjoy it and want to do it, but also just want to make sure you guys are enjoying it too. All right, thank you, and I hope you all have a great, wonderful day. Sending love, light, peace, and blessings.